program is brought to you by Newsworks in cooperation with the City of Eau Claire. This program is simulcast on WRFP-LP 101.9 FM.
Waterways and Parks meeting for December 6th. Members of the public, if you want to speak on any of the topics that public is invited to speak on, please come up to this little stand here so we can hear you on the microphone, and so that this guy doesn't have to turn around to see you, and so that Micah can get you on the camera. Okay, the first item on the agenda is the approval of the September 27th meeting minutes, which are on your desk tonight. Are there any additions or corrections to those minutes? No? Can we get a motion and a second to approve the minutes?
I'll move to approve.
Terry and David second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Those are approved. First item on the new business agenda is a recommendation on rezoning of land to R1, single-family residential, and a conditional use permit and site plan for a parking lot for the Mount Washington ski jump facility, all located to the southwest of Menominee Street and Mount Washington Avenue.
The application before you tonight actually involves applications from two different applicants. The first part of the application is submitted from Dave Hansen. Dave is here tonight. He's requesting the rezoning of the property at 108 Washington Avenue. It would be east of the ski jump facility from temporary R1A and R1A to R1, which is single family residential. And then the second application, part of it, relates to an application submitted by the Flying Eagles ski jumping team. And they're proposing to construct a 36-stall parking lot on property that they'd be purchasing from Mr. Hansen, that's located at the north end of the proposed rezoning. So on the monitor here, this is the vicinity map that shows where the rezoning is located, and it's from temporary R1A and temporary R1 to R1. Here's Menominee Street located here, and then Mount Washington Avenue is located right here. This is an aerial of the location. Again, this would be the property that would be rezoned. It's about 0.9 acres in size. As shown here, the ski jump facility is located east of the west over in this area right here. This is a photograph that was taken back in May. This actually, let's see here. This bottom photograph here is taken basically looking to the south. So this would be the north part of the rezoning, the existing house, and then there's another portion of land to the south of that. And this drawing right here shows that this is where the house would be located. This is the lot to the north, which we'll talk about in just a second, where the parking lot would be located. And then this lot to the south here would be a lot that would be available for single-family construction. The second part of the application that we're reviewing tonight then is the conditional use permit, and then also a site plan, and that relates to the parking lot that would be located at this location right here again. So this would be the north lot of the three lots that we're talking about tonight. This is a site plan that shows the parking lot. Again, this is the existing ski jump facility here. North is actually located to the left side of the screen that you're looking at here. Mount Washington Street would be located right along here, and then Menominee Street is located in this area here. The parking lot that's being proposed, as I mentioned, is a 36-stall parking lot. It would be connected with an existing parking lot that's part of the ski jump facility. That's about 7 spaces right here. They're proposing to surface the lot with a surface that would be a permeable type pavement system that would be a grid system will be washed with crushed stone. The pavement would be something that would have to be reviewed by the Plan Commission. They would have to grant a waiver in order to allow that type of a surface versus an asphalt or concrete surface. So that would be something that the Plan Commission would be looking at. This area, from what I recall historically, has actually been used kind of informally as a parking lot by the ski club over the years. So they feel that this will actually improve the parking situation out there by getting at least 36 cars off the street. This commission and the Plan Commission did review a proposal to upgrade the hill back in May when they're going to be doing some regrading. That's going on right now, and then construction of a replacement or a new hill, new ski jump that would be located right in this area here, and that was approved by this commission and the Plan Commission back in May. Plan Commission will be having a public hearing on this at their next meeting. At that point, they'll be actually sending out notices to the property owners around to let them know specifically what's going on. So with that, if you have any questions from me, otherwise the Hansons are here, and there's a representative from the ski club here tonight also.
Susan?
Oh, would there be a plan for landscaping around the parking lot? Or will it just be a flat open? The reason I ask about this is because they're really, as far as I can tell, just a few days a year that this overflow parking is really needed, and then the rest of the time but it's there all the time. So other facilities that we have landscaping and things around them?
Yeah, there is a biofilter that will be located in the north of the lot here. Generally, the Plan Commission does require street trees along the parking lot. And I haven't seen the staff report that Darryl Tuffy has put together yet, but I would anticipate that they would require some street trees. That can be something that this commission can recommend to the Plan Commission.
Did you have more to add to that question?
I was just going to cover the bioinfiltration areas. It has some plantings, some perennial plants that are planted in that. So you'll have some visual improvement there. And then we do have a wood screening fence along the south side of the lot. But certainly the trees, we're open to any sort of suggestions like that to improve the looks.
And what is a biofiltration plant?
It's a stormwater treatment system that its intended purpose is to control the amount of runoff, and at the same time to infiltrate a certain amount of water, because we don't want to lose all of our water, down the storm sewer. We want to retain a certain amount of it on site, just the way it occurs naturally. And the third thing it does is they're very effective at removing the sediment and certain things like fertilizers, things like that that are in the runoff. The plants help remove those.
Are you David Hanson or?
No, I'm Mac Gendry. I'm with Fleming Gendry and Associates. We did the quick layout here, and then I'm also representing the ski club.
Okay.
I should note too that on the south side of the parking lot here, being that there's a house located, normally the Plan Commission would require a screening along that south side of the parking lot also.
Okay. Any other questions?
I didn't get out there to take a look, but have they completed or started the improvements that they had planned to make on the hill?
The grading is very nearly complete. We anticipate starting the structure itself, the large scaffold that's going to be out there in the next few months. We might have a pause here for a couple months during the winter, but definitely early next spring we anticipate that starting.
And the timeline for the parking lot would be the same?
That would be in the spring of next year, probably into early summer.
Okay. What's the difference between R1A and R1 zoning?
Basically, it is the minimum lot size requirement.
Okay.
R1A is basically larger lots, typically they're more in unsewered areas. R1 minimum lot size is 10,000 square feet, which would be sewered, which is more consistent with the zoning that's in the area. The temporary zoning is something that occurs when land is annexed to the city. It comes into the city automatically with a temporary zoning, and then they have to go through a separate process to have a permanent zone. With temporary zoning, the owner really can't do any improvements to the land until they get permanent zoning on it.
And another question. So the planning commission would have to give exception to the wash crushed stone parking lot. That's not standard.
Standard is either an asphalt or concrete, but there is a process that they can grant a waiver for other surfacing types.
Do we have this surface anywhere else in the city yet?
Well, actually, I think we have something similar to it on one of the city parking lots up, don't we have that on our playground up on the Upper West Side?
We've got several crushed gravel type of parking lots in our park areas. They're not all asphalt.
It helps with runoff, right? It doesn't run off as much.
Helps off with runoff and just the general condition of the parking lot in terms of rutting and things like that. That's why normally the asphalt or the concrete's required. I guess I was getting there's a parking lot up by a park up by West Ridge. I think is an actual similar design to this, where they have the grid system that's a permeable type of a system.
Was that kind of a failure? Did that work out okay? It kind of looked like plastic that stuff wasn't growing through last time I saw it, which was a few years ago.
I'm not sure.
You're
you know?
talking the one out by Westridge in that park area that we had?
Yep.
And right by the old cemetery by the county home.
Oh, I think we're talking two different areas. I
Oh,
think
okay.
you're talking the Westridge out by the old Mill Run.
Well, no,
subdivision.
actually, I'm talking
Up by County Farm?
County Farm.
Okay, I haven't seen a problem, we haven't noticed that, but
Okay. Anyone else? No? Thank you. Anyone else from the public that wants to speak on this? No? Any other discussion? If not, I guess we'll look for a motion and a second to approve.
I'll move to approve.
I'll second.
Terry and Ron seconds. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any
Well,
noes?
I have a question.
Oh, Susan, sorry, I didn't see you had a question.
Does that mean it would include the statement, the discussion about the landscaping? Because it's not here now.
I think we can approve the site plan from this.
If Terry would like to add that as a friendly amendment to the motion, we can.
I can amend it to include per the site plan, the final draft of the site plan from the planning commission, or approved site plan from the planning commission.
Does that automatically include landscaping discussion?
I'll note in the minutes that this commission is recommending that the landscaping be considered for the parking lot.
But it is standard normally.
Yeah.
What you're asking for is what they'll ask for as well.
Okay.
Happy to change that however you want.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Good, thank you. Next item on the agenda is the Grand Avenue pedestrian bridge redecking project.
We're gonna spruce it up a little bit, so, for that picture. We have our bridges inspected every 2 years in the city, and recent inspections have indicated the need to replace the deck on the Grand Avenue pedestrian bridge. The beams and the piers everything is okay. The piers that you see in this picture on this opening are in great shape for being 100 years old. So, with all the construction going on in 2018, 2018, we wanted to take care of the Grand Avenue Bridge as long as we're gonna have Grand Avenue torn up and Grand Avenue on the other side. But when we did that, we wanted to try and make as many improvements to it as possible. So we looked to see how much wider we could make it, what kind of lighting could be incorporated, what kind of lookouts. So this is what we have for the design plans for it. Currently, the walking width between the parapets, or between the railing is 10 feet, and we're able to stretch it out to 12 feet. So we're getting an extra 2 feet of width on here. There'll be a concrete parapet on the side to help support the railing, and it also acts as a girder to help us add the width to it. That'll be 1 foot 8 inches tall, and then on top of that, we'll have a railing like is consistent with the other trails in downtown Eau Claire. That will bring the height to 54 inches, which is the standard for bicycle and pedestrian trails. About every 75 feet staggered, we'll have our downtown. This shows a green light that is similar to what's in Carson Park, but it will actually be the black decorative lighting that we have downtown. At each of the 3 piers, we're proposing to have overlooks to look over each side of the river. And instead of, right now, there's it's called a hammerhead pier, where it looks like a round sonotube with a cap on top of it. These will actually be poured form liners with limestone that will have a limestone relief on it that will complement the limestone that will be existing before or below it. This is the existing concrete cap that you see on the middle overlook. That will remain, so everything from above that and the overlooks will be new. And then these overlooks will offer locations for the donated benches that you see throughout the downtown in Phoenix Park and along the trails. Plans are at the 90% stage. We hope to have it advertised in December and then present bids to the City Council in January. With that, I'll take any questions. I'm just seeking the Commission's approval for the design or recommendations if there were any changes that would be like to be seen. We are including conduit in the parapets and in the overlooks, not only for future sink fiber optic, but also if this bridge were to be lit in the future, like the Phoenix Park Bridge, the infrastructure would be in the bridge itself, and then they would just have to come and attach the lights instead of all the conduits like they had to do in the Phoenix Park Bridge. The budget on this probably will not support adding those lights to this project. We may have to look for donations or other things in the future, but we're going to get a number at least just to see what kind of ballpark it's in for this. So, take any questions? Yes.
With the increased width, is there any room or usefulness for petitioning maybe like a bike side to East Transit, or is it not wide enough to support that?
I think it would be really tight for, usually like on streets for our bike lanes, we have them dedicated on streets at 4 feet is the minimum.
And it's going to be 12
and
feet?
This would be 12, so that would only leave a 4-foot sidewalk, and we generally like to have a 5-foot minimum walking. So unfortunately, instead of being able to have, bi-directional bike lanes on it with a combined direction walk path, we were shooting for 14 to 16 feet, but we ended up with 12 was the only thing that we could add without adding another girder to it, which would have really spiked the cost. So I think it'll operate the way it is now with additional width on it. They could put a center line down it in the future, like on the bridge going to campus. But the infrastructure will be there, and operationally, if we have a line on it or how that shakes out can be added next summer. The lights will have plugins at the top of those, like the causeway that just opened. So if they want to put decorations up there or for the dinner on the bridge, they'll have power able to be brought on. And then it'll tie in nicely with the river walk that we're planning to go from Haymarket Plaza down to Lake Street next year also. So
The goal is to have this completed by the time that the Performing Arts Center is opening.
Yeah, that was one thing I forgot to mention. We're hopefully going to have the bids awarded in January, and there are in-stream windows when we can't operate in the water because of fish requirements. So we want to have it open by the 4th of July weekend. June 29th, last day of construction, open on June 30th. So there is a chance that the bridge deck itself could come down in February if the water's lower in the wintertime and the contractor gets in. Typically, bridge builders aren't that busy, and then as it warms up in the spring, they would deck it and then have a deck pour in April or May. So if we're leaving the contract open, so anytime from the time it's awarded, basically, through April estimated, they can be in and remove the deck on it, and then the trail would be detoured up to the Phoenix Park Bridge or down to Lake Street or both to cross the river. If they miss that deadline, there's also migratory birds that they have to watch for, and once you get into April and May, if a migratory bird builds a nest on that deck, it's not going to be open until October, November. So they have to get the deck out of there so we don't have birds nesting ahead of time. So.
Thomas?
What about the entrance exits of the bridge? Are they going to be altered at all?
We do have funds for the west side, so kind of a West Grand Plaza that we're planning to redo that area. The east side, we're planning on touching down where it is and making a connection to the Riverwalk Trail. This is a little bit exaggerated, it's quite a bit steeper. But on the west or on the east side, we're going to come down and have an ADA accessible trail, or it'll be sidewalk width. We can't fit a trail with a 12-foot trailing. And then we'll have a new trail here. But as far as going out on the Grand Avenue, there is some movement with these properties over here and the remaining ones that is in flux. I don't want to spend a lot of money on Grand Avenue until we know what may be adjacent to it. Future plans for Grand Avenue call for it to be more pedestrian and artsy and entertainment centric to go from there up to Farwell Street. And then once we have some finality with what's happening in here for future redevelopment, then we'll go on the actual right-of-way on Grand Avenue on the east side. But the west side, Grand Avenue Plaza, where there's the trail comes through and there's some benches, that will be done. And then Grand Avenue itself will be done the pavement next summer as well, because the pavement's failing.
Is there any provisions or restrictions on fishing from the bridge?
We're not proposing any changes. I don't know the specific ordinance. I know I see people fishing there all the time. I don't know if they're in violation of an ordinance or not. But the bridge deck itself will be in about the same height. You'll have more opportunities with the overlooks for it. We haven't proposed any ordinance changes with that. I don't see any signs out there. I think it's probably legal to fish from it if you'd like to.
We don't have any prohibited practice on that, they can't do that.
Way up.
It's a long way to bring a big fish up.
In a long night.
Yeah.
So are the trees that we see there, is that new planting or is that the the current trees thinned out?
Well, with this is, this would be independent of the bridge here, but I'm talking with the DNR for permitting for the retaining wall that we have down there, working with the Art Center with the HVAC equipment on top. DNR would like to see river birch planted along there and some native vegetation down below. They're not overly big fans of the tall, mature cottonwoods and some invasive species that are in there. I don't know what this will be for sure, but I know it's going to be one of our goals with the Riverwalk is to raise the canopy and open it up so the people walking on the trail feel safe, can see the river, and
Didn't we learn during one of our goose studies that if if the geese can't see the water directly, they won't land there and do the things that geese do? Do you remember that discussion? I found that very enlightening. So would there be plans to landscape it to prevent geese taking over that area?
Well, the standard permit for the DNR calls for riprap to go 2 feet above the ordinary high water mark, and then above that is dirty riprap, they call it. So there's riprap to armor the bank, but you have topsoil on top of it and native plantings and river birch. So it would be the tall grass that you see in Phoenix Park. That's what the riverbank that gets disturbed through here, that project would have on there. I think that grass is high enough to block the view from up on top. We're hoping with, you're not, I guess it's a different project, but on this, I don't envision that you're going to have a nice grass slope up there where you're going to be able relax and lay on the grass like in Phoenix Park. It's gonna be pretty close to what you have out there now, where it's steep.
But it should look not right to geese. So, I mean, Phoenix Park doesn't really have geese, where Half Moon Beach has a lot of trouble with geese. So
Yeah,
it
this-
should not create a Half Moon Beach kind of problem.
I would imagine if you walk on Phoenix Park along the river on each side of the Phoenix Park Bridge, that's what this riverfront and the lower areas will look similar to. DNR does have a desire to have a unimproved trail, maybe decomposed granite or some kind of aggregate trail closer to the water, the riprap by the water for the people that want to fish, and there's kind of an unimproved, unofficial trail down there now. They would like that to continue all the way up to the Barstow Street Bridge. But that's the only thing that right now we're really planning down below, no benches or anything that would really you'd mow or.
And
No.
dirty riprap is good riprap, is what
It's
you're
good,
saying.
yes, it's organic riprap maybe, so it'll grow stuff.
Oh, yeah, that sounds better.
So they call it dirty riprap, but it's not the nice, clean limestone looking, it's got dirt on it.
Okay.
Anybody else? Okay.
Looks nice.
Does.
Mhm. We get a motion and second to approve it then?
I'll move to approve.
Joshua and second, David seconds, all those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you, Dave, and you're still here for the Haymarket Plaza update.
Yep, just, I wanted to give just a brief update, where we are, what we've done, in the last couple of months. This is the plan that we were to the Waterways and Parks earlier this year, just as an update of where we're at. We're working with the DNR, this would be a retaining wall, and this area would be a wall, and then the abutment for a bridge to Phoenix Park are all walls, similar to what you see along the Haymarket Landing building. These two were encroaching slightly into the floodway, so we've been changing these, pulling these back just a little bit, altering the stairs, and then moving the touchstone for the bridge over. This is where the siphon was relocated to. So we've been tweaking it slightly. Currently, we're within a day or two of finalizing the location for that wall. And once that's finalized, we have our soil borings, and we want to get the bid plan for the wall itself out so we can start on that sometime this fall, or this spring. And then we're working through starting to get into some of the details for the plaza itself, and that will be a separate bid later this winter or spring. Next week, we're meeting with the Public Arts Council to go over the artistic portion of this, to try and get art in here. We're working with a couple of bridge designers, and one looks promising for a pedestrian bridge that we will be able to afford to go into Phoenix Park. We hope to have that as part of the project as well. I believe when I was here before, I got a picture of a bridge that had an under deck truss, or an arch on it. We can't afford that one, but we are looking at having a bridge potentially that would have an overhead arch on it, with supporting the deck that goes across the river, where it would clear span and there wouldn't have to be a pier in the water. So we're working with the estimates. We're pretty confident that we're going to be able to afford everything in the plaza and the bridge, and then the Riverwalk Trail that goes down to Lake Street. I hope to, after meeting with the artists, have the finished details, or have these refined more, to be back to Waterways and Parks in January. And then if we're at a stage in January, we can go to Plan Commission, take the site plan for Haymarket Plaza to the Plan Commission in January, and then hopefully get bids and take it to council to award sometime late winter or early spring. Our construction for this is dependent upon when we're able to actually get in here around the construction of complex. But we want to have this open by Labor Day weekend. So the Art Center is scheduled to open towards the end of September. I like to have our trail and outdoor features open for as many of the three major holidays in the summer as possible. We won't make 4th of July, but I would at least like to have it for move-in for Labor Day if possible. Otherwise, we've been working on trying to have this area not only be reflective for looking at the river, but encourage some interaction among the people sitting there instead of being sterile. The art center has light that is going to be on the outside of it. We're working on incorporating light into the plaza. Minor tweaks on taking the frame that we have here and making it fit in and complement all of the surrounding buildings. So that's kind of where we're at with it. It'll be two separate bids, the wall itself, and then the plaza that you'll actually walk on. We're at the stage where we're hopefully going to be issuing construction documents for at least the wall.
Awesome that the bridge is.
I'm very encouraged with the budget that was set aside for I think it's TID 10 for that. That we'll be able to get something to work over there.
And then the bridge would be constructed by the time of the opening of the art center?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The bridge would actually have to go in before the plaza's done.
Oh, perfect.
Because it would be a steel bridge. It would have a wood deck on it instead of a concrete because of the length on it. So one thing, talking with the bridge builder, is they may build the bridge. We may shut this section of ground may be shut again when we're constructing the rest of it. So you build it and then walk it with cranes over here. Have another crane on the other side, pick up the end of the bridge, and walk it across and set it in place. If we're able to afford it, it could be pretty neat over here, but they have to get the bridge in. We have to get the wall built because the wall will support it over here. We have to get the bridge in, or for cost effectively, this is the best way to do it. Get the bridge in and then do the plaza itself afterwards.
I mean, it makes so much sense too, because the parking situation for this is a little bit, I mean, just the two decks, but that walk would have been kind of long.
Yeah. And the bridge will have, again, budgets. The Phoenix Park Bridge has been very well received with all the lighting that's on it. We're including all the conduits and as much stuff as we can in it, so it's almost almost turnkey to install the lights. All we have to do is install those at a future date. So we're trying to continue that theme in the downtown as we go with these.
Thomas?
So at the, off the top of your head, do you know how long the bridge will be?
210 feet.
And they'll build it all in one and then move it out there?
It'll come in 8 parts. If it's the bridge that we're looking at, the arch, there's 2 arches, one on each side. So that'll be 4 arches, and they'll connect in the middle, 4 pieces of arches. And then there's a truss that you would walk through similar to the Boyd Park Bridge, that the trusses support to clear span on it. And there's 4 of those as well. And they bring the 8 pieces out, bolted together like an erector set, and then get it in place, and we'll start to install the decking across it.
And where does it come down?
It comes down, right now we're looking at, there's a planter bed that is west of the Trailhead building, and the trail kind of curves away from the river there. It would then bow towards the bridge at that location, and we'd have a centerpiece right lined up. What we're looking at is having it lined up when you look through the bridge. On the Phoenix Park side, there'll be a planter bed in the area for a sculpture, so that when you're walking through the bridge, you would have that beacon on the Phoenix Park side. If it's a lit sculpture or a metallic sculpture with uplighting on it, or that's what we're hoping with the Arts Council to.
And will we get to see the design of the bridge here in the construction?
Once we finalize the budgets to make sure that we're able to propose it, I have a picture of a similar one, but I don't want to be out there until we're sure that we can afford it.
Don't want to get our hopes up.
But I'm pretty confident. I'm very confident on that.
How wide is that bridge?
16 feet.
16.
Yeah.
So it will be a designated bike trail?
Pardon me?
Will it be a designated bike lane?
With the wood deck on it, I don't know if we'll paint it. It would be wide enough for that. You could have 4 feet. On one side would be 8 feet of trail with a center line, and the other side you'd have 8 feet of walk, or you could have 5 feet of walk. I guess we'll have when we start. One of the last things we'll do is get into the operations for this, for the fountain and for the fire, who operates and what does it go on, and that would be a good discussion to see how those lanes are. We're also looking at the bridge. They can incorporate lookouts in the middle of it, so you can actually go outside of the truss and look out this way, or if you wanna get your picture taken, you can go and you could have a photographer on the Barstow Street Bridge, and you could, if you're a group out there, you'd be able to stand in the middle, and that would be about a 10-foot wide by 5 or 6 feet deep lookout that would be in the middle of it. So.
Nice.
And it would be, what we're looking at is having it painted black, so it would match all the black rail in downtown. As far as details with it, we don't have a whole lot more other than there'd be an arch over the top that would be approximately 30 feet tall, and then that would support the truss going through it, and there wouldn't be anything in the river. You'd be able to sail underneath the river. Lots of exciting stuff. So I hope to be back in January. I just wanted to give kind of an update on what we're looking at in our timeframes for the next year for this. But
Thank you, Mr. Silver.
thank you.
Next item on the agenda is the invitation to the volunteer celebration on January 10th at Hobbs Ice Arena.
Yes, I believe this was all sent out to you already. I should have got an email on this, but just as a reminder, January 10th on a Wednesday, 7:30 to 8:30 at the Hobbs Ice Center. City Council would like to serve you breakfast as an appreciation of what you do on the commission and your volunteering efforts here. So if you could, please RSVP by January 2nd to, that's the city manager's office, Kathy Morrell. She just needs a head count. I will also send out an email with a reminder after the holidays, because I know sometimes things get hectic and we forget about it, and I want to make sure that everybody has an opportunity to be there on that day.
Special events?
There aren't any special events for us to act on tonight, though. What I would like to mention, did anybody have an opportunity to get over to the Clearwater Winter Parade and Let It Glow?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It was a great event.
Yeah,
this
I
year.
liked having it all together.
Yeah.
Although I will say, if we didn't go to the lighting, we probably would have gone to both things, but it was just a little more than we could do, so we just did the fireworks. But it was nice to have the trees lit up for that,
Mm-hmm.
and it was nice to have the parade earlier in the year because, or in the season, because last year it was just so cold.
It did. It got very
I guess
cold.
you can't really tell when that's gonna happen, but.
So next year, following this year, it's going to be on November 30th. So basically the same week as what we had it this year, with hope that it will be a nice 40 plus degree evening that everybody can. What's that?
There were kids in t-shirts all over the place. I mean, it was
Yeah, I noticed there were some kids that were lightly clothed.
they were fine.
Yeah, they had fun. So we figured that the Let It Glow had about 3,000 spectators there, and we're anticipating we had somewhere in the neighborhood of 15 to 20,000 at the parade.
Wow.
So we had a great event. We had 54 parade participants with vehicles and they all decorated in a theme of the winter wonderland. So
One thing I would say for next year, someone was saying that it got really dark at the end, so maybe
Towards,
just having the lights like in the park set up, like just like a floodlight even, so that people aren't scared.
So towards probably on the Owen
Closer.
Park side,
Yeah.
where all you had was a street light every.
Yeah, because like I always stay on Grand Avenue and that's plenty lit up, but I think
Okay.
Can you remind us again what special events are going to be coming to us? Because we did have a few new ones on there, so when is it that they will come to us?
They'll come to this commission if they're a new event that would be partaking in a park or on a waterway, so anything new. If it's a repeat, something that has already been acted upon by this commission and the city council, it wouldn't be coming back, because if there aren't any significant changes, it wouldn't come back to here. So typically what we'll be seeing are new events coming forth.
Okay.
And larger new events, right?
If they're larger, yes, if there is anything that would change the event significantly, it would come back. Again, that's if it occurs in a park or on a waterway.
So the North Riverfront Harvest Festival, that's a repeat event?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, on that one there? Yes, I believe that was a repeat event.
That was? Okay.
Yeah. And there are some events, if they don't reach a criteria, they don't go to city council, we administratively approve them. So if they don't close down a street, they don't have over 1,000 people that are going to be partaking, the city can administratively approve those, so they go through without having to go through the commissions and city council.
Okay. Okay. Questions on special events at all?
We would not want our parade to be on the same date as the Chippewa parade.
No.
So.
And that's why we're doing ours on a Friday. They do theirs on a Saturday.
But they would be one day after the other.
No, we're doing it on November 30th, which will be Friday next year. It was December 1st this year, so next year on that Friday is November 30th.
But what I'm wondering.
They're the same week.
Same weekend?
It's on the same weekend, but not on the same day.
I think that's fine.
We go first, so.
I mean, people are mostly gonna go to the one in their city, right? And
Mostly.
if people really wanna do a parade, they're gonna go to both of them if they want. I
They
mean,
can.
for
Because
me,
they're not on the same day.
People get in. I think I would go to both if I wanted to, or not, even if they're 2 days apart. I don't think it would matter to me. But I don't know, maybe.
So Dan, were you, Susan, were you looking for us not to have it on the same weekend or on the same day?
No, on the same day.
Okay, yeah, and we did avoid that.
I wonder if any of the participants in the parade did ours and then did Chippewa.
I bet they did.
Actually, they did.
Worked out nice.
One of our
Strong
staff
family.
people attended both parades, and he said there was about 6 or 7 entries that were in both parades.
Okay. Okay, director's report?
I was asked before the meeting, one item that isn't in the report, because we were asked not to bring this out into the media until we had confirmation, is that we do have the Emerald Ash Borer in the city of Eau Claire now. It has been confirmed. On November 22nd, we noticed some ash trees down by the university that were exhibiting signs of disease. On that day, we had an entomologist from the DNR come out and take a sample of the larvae. We sent it down to Madison for confirmation. On December 4th, it came back as it was confirmed as emerald ash borer. So what that did at that time, it quarantined the county, Eau Claire County, into, you can't move the ash into other counties that haven't been infected with the emerald ash borer. So what we have started doing as a preemptive cure, I guess not a cure, but clearing up the ash trees, is that we will start educating, and we've been doing this for some time, and I think that's sort of one reason why we didn't get a lot of calls coming into our offices, is because we've been talking to the media about this emerald ash borer for some time, and so when it did come, we knew it was going to come. It was inevitable. So we're going to continue our education efforts with the community. We're going to continue our preemptive removals of the trees. In 2011, we had over 9,000 ash trees in the city of Eau Claire on the public side, mind you. Okay, so we're talking boulevard trees and ash trees in the parks. We had over 9,000. We have removed over 3,000 of those trees to date. So we're actually about 5,900 ash trees that are present in our boulevards and our parks. The big number is we have over 30,000 ash trees in the city of Eau Claire, which that's on the private property side. So what is unknown is how is the landscape going to look in the next few years, because the emerald ash borer, when it strikes, it leaves a level of devastation very quick hurt. I mean, it's within 2 to 4 years the trees die, and then you have a lot of dead trees that have to be dealt with on the public side and on the private side. So that's something that we'll be working with, on our side, clearing our trees. On the private side, working with the homeowners, helping them with arborists that are certified and licensed to take trees down in the city of Eau Claire.
But I think that there has been coverage all along from the time you wrote your plan until now, but I don't know that it's ever said very specifically much about the treatments. And so just coincidentally today I had somebody come and tell me what it would cost to treat a tree that's a significant tree in my yard. And he told me, and it depends on the size of the tree, of course, but he told me my tree would be $60 every 2 years. And they have it's prevention. If the tree already has it, it doesn't cure it. But they have about an 80% success rate of trees that they're treating. So to me, as a homeowner with a significant tree, I wouldn't object to paying. It's not like it was $500 or something like that. So I don't think there's been much media about the treatments and what they cost and how the treatments are succeeding or not succeeding, which would be good public information as well, because they are pretty cool trees if they don't just die on us.
Sure. And I would agree that that will be part of our educational component moving forward, is to because that is one of the options that we'll be looking at too, is using some chemical treatment to sustain the trees.
Then does that have to be done in perpetuity, or do they eventually, well, the only ones left, we might as well move on because the only ones left are the ones that we can't eat?
Yeah, that it does have to continue on as long as the beetle is still here, the emerald ash borer is still here, because they will continue to, I mean, that's what they thrive on, is the ash tree.
But the places that have already been hit are not finding relief yet. That looks like we don't have any left.
Like it's moved on, hasn't moved through
moved
yet.
away.
Right. Well, again, I think some of those trees will, as long as that the insect is gone, and you don't have them there anymore. I mean, and they'll move on if there are trees for them to infect.
They will. Okay, that's what I was asking. Okay.
Any guess on the percentage of ash trees in, say, Owen Park or Carson Park, of the number of trees there? What are we looking at if we were to visualize what could be in 3 or 4 years? Are we talking a tenth of the trees, a fifth?
Well, for us, I mean, it's about 18% of what our trees are in the city. I believe that's what I was, initially when we started this preemptive clearing, it was a higher percentage. We have dropped down to 18% of the trees. I believe that's what the percentage is right now. We're gonna continue to work on that. And what we have been doing, just so we can maintain a healthy urban forest, is that we have been removing the ash tree and then replanting with other species.
And how does the quarantine work? So the tree's taken down and then it has to be
Good question.
destroyed
Yeah,
here?
Good question. You can't leave the county unless you're taking it to a county that's adjacent that already has a quarantine. You can't take it, in our case, to a county. We can take it down to Trempealeau County, but we can't take it into a county north of us because I don't believe Chippewa's been quarantined yet. And the county's north of it, so we can't transport that wood out of the county.
And what happens to people who go ahead and transport? Because what they were saying was that some of you can see by the pattern that somebody transported wood because it wasn't just gradually across and away. It's just like all of a sudden right here in the middle.
No.
So somebody brought some wood into that area. So if you're caught doing that, what happens to you?
Well, again, it depends upon local ordinances and what type of punitive damages that they would have on that.
Well, I think the other thing about the 18% is, but many of the replacement trees for Dutch elm trees were ash trees. So if you look now in Putnam Heights, where your trees could be 50-some years old now, on the boulevards, it looks like 1950. I've seen pictures of Putnam Heights in 1950. That's what it looked like. But in the backyards, it looks like 2000 teens. Because those are the mature trees behind, and it looks very new subdivision-y in Putnam Heights right now because of the removals.
And I think that's the importance of having a diverse urban forest rather than having just the one species, whether it's red oak. We know what the oak wilt, what that's done to the red oak, and the Dutch elm, and now we're dealing with emerald ash. So we're trying to bring in a diverse forest to where if one species gets hit, it's not completely devastating of what the whole canopy of the area would be like.
Do you know, like you said, 80% are ash. When the ash borer arrives, do you know what percentage of that population will then suffer and die? Like almost all the ashes, or like half of them, or what's the range seen?
From what they've seen historically from areas that have been hit, again, this is a very quick die-off when you know you have it. But they will see in some cases thousands of dead trees in a matter of 2 to 4 years. So no, I'm not saying to be alarmist and say that's going to happen here, because preemptively we've been taking care of it. We've already taken 3,000 trees out. But there's a likelihood we're going to see some significant die-off of the ash trees in this community.
Like almost all of them, or could be?
In areas, it's been pretty much a clear devastation unless there was some preemptive treatments being done to the trees. I don't want to be that alarmed. Like I said, I'm just reading the reports that are out there, and it's pretty significant. And that's why it's had so much media and publicity leading up to now. And that's why we've been, since 2011, taking a lot of trees down and replanting.
Right, by thinning the overall population and isolating them, did that help prevent them from being found by the insect, or the preventive introduced to the population? Is that just to later minimize the losses, or did that in any way protect the tree from being affected if you thin the canopy and there's not ash and ash and ash and ash, like you've got ash surrounded by lots of other trees? Does that help at all, or not really? The insects will travel until they find it.
I think that's probably true. I think that's true with most infectious disease on a tree, is that if there isn't a lot of what they're looking for food to lay their larvae and stuff, I think they would look at, be elsewhere rather than being in that certain location. I don't anticipate the entire, just like with Dutch elm, not every elm ended up dying. We still have some elm trees, but with this, there's probably going to be a rather high mortality on it.
Anything
So that's
else?
to bring you up to date on the emerald ash. A couple of other items I have on the report is the Carson Park main playground. We took down the outdated playground equipment on October 16th, and the installation of the new playground started on November 1st. We didn't finish everything because of weather, although I think the playground contractor probably would have wished he would have kept working on it, because we did have kind of an extension here, but the remainder of the playground will be completed in the spring of 2018. And Ms. Ball has already had her children out there playing.
Got some pictures of my kids on the stuff. It's gonna be awesome. I mean, it's gonna be the best playground around.
Yeah,
by
very
far.
nice.
About how much have we got? Like, what percentage would you say is already installed?
Oh, I would say more than half.
All of the stuff on the one side of the path is finished, and then the other side isn't. So the other side is going to be, if you've gone to Putnam Heights School Playground, you know that big thing right there. That's what that is going to look like, pretty much. So that whole thing is still going to be built, but there's a bunch of littler, there's a bunch of spinny things, and then probably 2 or 3 climbers with slides and stuff on the other side. And the zip line isn't done yet, so they haven't put the zip line up, but the things are there. So it's gonna be awesome.
Any other questions on Carson Park Playground? Fairfax ball fields. Part of our agreement with the Eau Claire School District is that we allow them to do some improvements on some of our ball fields, and they actually paid for the dugout construction of the large baseball fields located on Fairfax. So the ball field's right next to, or the ball field right next to the Little League field. So they put in some new dugouts there. Again, that will not only benefit the high schools, but also some of the other programs that play out there with the American Legion and some of the other teams that practice out there with Babe Ruth and so forth. On the Forestry Division, Community Service Department, we hosted a joint meeting of the Wisconsin Urban Forestry Council. That was back on October 13th. We had representatives from Iowa and Indiana, gave them a tour of our facilities, and they left Eau Claire impressed with what we're doing here. So looking at all the facilities we have, and I did have, there was a little, we did talk at that meeting about the Emerald Ash Borer Readiness Plan and what we're doing. And I would say with our forestry division, we have 7 employees that in those last few years that have taken down 3,000 trees. And that's just part of their job. They're also doing trimming work, putting in boulevard trees for customers we have. So that's just part of their job. So very impressive how they've preemptively been minimizing what the impact could be for us.
We have 2 ash trees on our north boulevard, and then I'm at the computer yesterday and I'm saying, oh, it sounds to me like somebody's having some work done. And I go out and then we're taking down our trees, which we had requested, but I didn't know it was going to happen yesterday. But it allowed me to watch, and you're right, those people can take down a tree in a quick hurry and get it cleaned up and all ground up and out of there.
And they're out of there quick.
Yeah.
I mean, we have an extremely talented group of arborists that work for us.
It was cool to watch them plant a bunch of trees in our neighborhood because they had taken out all of Lexington Boulevard, all of the trees, so they were planting them all, and just to watch how fast it all goes. I mean, like we walked one way to drop our daughter off at school, and the holes were there, and then like on the way back they were all planted. Like it's just amazing. So it's kind of cool.
Half Moon Lake, the Causeway project was completed, and we had a ribbon cutting ceremony on Friday, November 17th, and Diane was there for that. So that was a nice event. It was a little chilly that day.
Little windy.
And rainy. It started to rain after everything got done.
Yes, thankfully waited.
I don't know if anybody's had a chance to get over the causeway, but it's turned. I mean, it's a very beautiful structure now, and we've got a nice amenities for kids and families to fish, and so we have that now, and then we have the pier that's down the by Lakeshore School down towards the community gardens there, and so that area is really turning into a very nice area for recreation and activities.
I was wondering if there were going to be railings on the causeway.
Railings?
Railings. It's, like we were looking at them on the pedestrian bridge here, there were railings, but there aren't railings on the causeway.
Oh, there's just a parapet.
And so, will there, because I drove down that hill like about 40,000 times or more, and I was always wondering if this was the day I was going to slide off. Mostly in the winter, I would wonder that. And so it's wide, and I just wondered if there was going to be any more.
No.
No?
It's a lot less scary now because there's a lot more
It's wider
down there.
It's a lot less scary now because they don't go there every day.
Yeah. It's built up though, so like if your car did go over, you'd hit land before you hit water.
The next phase, it's not really scheduled at this point, but would be we'll be working on the hill eventually, going up to the park, but there isn't any specific plans at this point.
I will say that when you're running with a group right there, you have this wide, beautiful sidewalk, and then it narrows for like 10 feet before it hits the trail. And it's like you have a wide, like 12-foot sidewalk, then you have like a 5 or whatever that the standard sidewalk size is, and then you go back to the trail. So it's like wide and just like it's 10 feet, It would be nice to widen that back up so people aren't jumping out of the way.
On the east side or west side?
School
Is it
side.
By
school
the school,
side?
yeah,
School side.
By what's that?
On
By
the
the
school
school.
side.
On the school side.
Mhm.
Okay.
So like right when you're getting back, like crossing the street or going up that way.
Mhm.
How about that interactive trail? Have you had much response on behind the school there, the different stations?
Oh, yes. My wife teaches at Lakeshore
Yeah.
Elementary, so they have incorporated that into some of their curriculum with the kids to get them out and get them active onto that trail. So I don't know if anybody's been to that yet. That the Born Learning Trail that was put out there, but certainly it's something to see. And this was done by all volunteers that put this in for the United Way, and it turned out very nicely. I mean, it really looks good, and I've seen kids playing. I mean, there's little hopscotch games and identifying different shapes and ways to interact and communicate with your children. So I'm happy the school district is getting out there with their kids to do that. Good comments.
The fishing pier is really a nice facility as well. And I think I had just timed it right where I was walking that trail, and I was really walking both ways. And there was a young family with like 3 young boys, I think a pregnant mom and a dad, all out on the pier fishing on a nice day. And I think, what a great little thing that they could do. And
Sure.
go down there and do it in a really nice setting, and so hopefully there's a lot of people that will utilize that.
Yes. McDonough Park, we installed permanent posts and nets were installed on the original pickleball courts this fall. And I know we talked about this last time, but we had a very successful tournament that was conducted out there on that area. So it has been a very positive experience to have all that activity going on in that area. So Ron might have some comments.
Yeah, our board is meeting on Friday, in fact, and we're looking at the phase 2 of that whole project and our fundraising efforts, and we're really excited about how well it's gone. And I think at the point when we get done, it's going to be a very nice facility and nice park.
Right, yeah. And we're looking at, too, part of our initiative, too, is to open up some areas where we can open up some vistas to overlook into the pond area. So, again, create a more pleasurable experience for people that come home. Because right now we've got a wall of trees there, and you've got a beautiful pond on the other side of that. So we're going to try to open some of those areas up. Pinehurst Park, we recently met with Outdoor Moore Group, and that was on November 16th, to get an update of their progress this past summer. The group has installed 22 poles and 48 lights on the cross-country ski trails. They're working on a snow making machine. We don't always get snow when they want to get it, so they're working on that. And they're also planning on a ski lift for next year. They'll be doing some more fundraising and applying for grants to get this done. And then also in the same park, we will be planning on putting a neighborhood playground in the park in 2018. Remind you, the Prime Times Fall and Winter Edition is still out there. You can find it in print, or you can go to the online and find it at the city website. Special events, we've gone over that. Since our last meeting, we did have the Wellfield deer hunt. This year, we had 8 deer that were harvested in the Wellfield area. So it was a successful hunt, again, a very safe hunt. This was for a youth and disabled hunt, so we had, it wasn't involved, and I don't believe, we did include this year that veterans were also able to come out and do the hunt. I don't believe we had that. I think we had just, it was youth and the disabled. But they took 8 deer, and so for 2 years we had a total of 19. The year before we had 11. So again, the goal here is to thin that urban deer population that we have. Next year we may be looking at expanding that to maybe some other areas that we have in the city. And that's all I have for the director's report.
Okay. Anything else from anybody? We get a motion and a second to adjourn? Ron and David? All those in favor? Aye. Aye. Thanks.
We did want to just note, this is Diane's last
Oh.
meeting.
Bye.
Diane has she's served 2 3-year terms on the commission, so she's been on the commission for 6 years. We'd like to invite her back either in January and February to receive a plaque to appreciation for your service on the commission. Just personally, I'd like to thank you for the time that you spent on the commission.
Thank you. Sure. Yeah. Great.
What commission are you going to join?
This program was brought to you by a cooperation between Newsworks and the City of Eau Claire. A transcript of this meeting is available for the hearing impaired. It will be available within 7 days of this telecast. Call 715-839-4912 or TDD 715-839-1689. Or write Eau Claire City Clerk, P.O. Box 5148, Eau Claire, Wisconsin 54702-5148. Newsworks is made possible by continuing community support. If you would like to volunteer or make a donation, please contact us via phone at 715-839-5067 or online at valleymediaworks.org.